What's going on out there? YouTube family, Facebook family, and Twitter family. This is the whole trifecta. We're about to go and do the daggone thing. We're going to be breaking down in its entirety from the beginning to the end, if you care to listen, hovering through all the different ins and outs of this Vanity Fair article on Zack Snyder and the process in between Zack Snyder's Justice League from where it started to where it went. I'm assuming. I don't know if they're going to cut any details. Any of you guys that don't know, definitely go and check out Sean O'Connell's release the Snyder Cut book. It's releasing out in March. That'll give a lot more interesting context as far as research is concerned. I'm not sure how detailed this Vanity Fair article is going to be, but we're going to go and bank on the whole entire thing. In terrible news earlier this morning, Daft Punk split up. It's pretty sad, man. I honestly was like hoping that they would return for the Tron sequel that was coming out. But let's go ahead and break it down. I did want there's I haven't read the whole article because I intentionally wanted to break it down with you guys. Let's go ahead and start it off. After Zack Snyder quit the Justice League, rumors swirled. Fans got toxic and superhero movie tanked. Now the director tells his side of the story ahead of hashtag Snyder Cut. I don't know the entirety of this. I've only read snippets of it. I've read like the parts of his acknowledgement about Autumn. I've read the parts of his acknowledgement about the studio perspective on stuff. And I've also had different people, that are fellow critics and friends that kind of just were like, put off by some of the things that Zack implied with this, as well as some of the story beats. So I for better or for worse, I don't know where this is going to go. So that's what makes this very interesting. But in the subtitle right here, you got the shocking, exhilarating, heartbreaking true story of the Snyder Cut. So let's go ahead and start it up right now. Okay. Let me transfer it over and go for it. Here we go. So that's interesting. So I got Jason Momoa right here. Let's get rid of this little ad, get this out of the way. And, they're going to be like, oh, man, you're going to have to purchase this in order to go through it. So let's minimize this and let's go ahead and start it out. It's a dope shot. A demoralizing battle with Warner Brothers, a devastating personal tragedy, and a fan base he couldn't control. Zack Snyder tells Vanity Fair why he quit the Justice League and why he's returned to complete the cut that's reached near mythological, mythical status. Zack Snyder, the Justice League, director of the Justice League, has never seen the Justice League. His name is in the credits as a filmmaker, but he's never sat through the version released to the world 3 years ago. His wife, Deborah, who produced the movie, advised him not to. In late 2017, months after the couple cut ties with the superhero epic amid an increasingly demoralizing battle with the Warner Brothers, Deborah Snyder sat in a screening room on the studio lot along with Christopher Nolan. Now, this is where somebody told me, and I don't know if Keaton's watching this right now, but I guess this is the key little bit that I didn't hear everything about it. One of the movie's executive producers, as well as the director of the Dark Knight trilogy, she braced herself as the lights went down. It's a weird experience, she says. Now, I don't know how many people have that experience. You've worked on something for a long time, and then you leave, and then you see what happened to it. That's rough. What happened to Justice League was a crisis on infinite doubt. A team of executives lost faith in the architect of their faltering comic book movie empire, and a director in the midst of a family tragedy that sapped him of the will to fight. Joss Whedon, a director from another universe, the Marvel Cinematic one, left Avengers after 2 movies and crossed over to comics rival DC, picking up the Justice League not where Snyder left off, but remaking it significantly with extensive rewrites and hurried reshoots. just as the studio demanded, which we all knew that. We all knew that, Josh was tasked with, well, I wonder if they're going to go into what really went down. Because my understanding was that Zach was like, all right, we only got a little bit left. You got a few things to go ahead and finish up, polish it up, and then get your movie out. It's cool. Now, do know that version that was being done was a compromised version. Like, it was that, Steppenwolf would have looked the same. It would have been that certain things would have been exactly the same. But this whole movie was also retooled completely as well. And I wonder if they're going to go into that, because what ended up happening is the whole entire movie had to be reshot, and they had to put more money back into it and had to bring people back out of their schedules. That's the reason why we got the Henry Cavill situation. Again, this is going to be a long read, you guys. So if you want to come back to this, you can always do that. I'm really reading this so I can be able to soak it in, so I can give you guys feedback along the way. So this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is a heads up. On November 17th of 2017, the team up between Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Aquaman, and The Flash didn't so much debut in the theaters as crash into them. It was sneered by critics, shrugged by baffling moviegoers, and all but disowned by those who created it. Whedon has since been accused of unprofessional and abusive behavior on set. Oh, wow. Why did they? Yo, Variety. I don't know who wrote this article. I'm going to have to look up the person who wrote this article. I'm surprised he actually went there. The director declined repeated requests for comment. So he didn't even comment. He hasn't commented. Honestly, even everything that Ray said, he's never commented on any of it, which probably is the smartest thing to do. He left his name off the movie except to claim he shared writing credit with Chris Terrio, who had written Snyder's previous installment in the 2016's Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. This is a weird picture. I don't know why they got down to... Anyway, whatever. This shot right here, the Motherbot scene, I think this is that sequence that they were talking about a long time ago where Zach kind of had them revolving around. I'm assuming that's that scene right there. And this one's, I guess, from Batman vs. Superman. Okay, cool. All right. Publicly, everyone close to the movie practiced their smiles and rehearsed their talk points on hopes of doing no further damage to the project. Not that it helped much. The movie earned $657 million globally, which sounds like a lot of money until you consider nearly $300 million worth of a budget, including reported $25 million for Whedon's reworking, plus the conservative estimates of $100 million to $150 million in marketing costs. Factor in the sizable cut of the theaters take in the box office, and the return being $657 million is clear money loser. 6 months later, Justice League box office was dwarfed by Marvel's own all-star showcase, Marvel's Infinity War, which flexed its muscles at $2 billion. Which, I mean, honestly, there was never, in my personal opinion, it should have never been a comparison of that hitting the same. They had gone through, what, 20 plus films to build up to that. I mean, it's not even on some earned thing. Like, they literally had a whole universe that was already built on the backs of like 20 different movies, in my personal opinion. And I did go into debates with that, even with one of our Team JVS members, Lucas, about that when it comes to people's perception. A lot of people's perception, when they were talking to me back then, it was like, man, you know, they should have had all these different standalones that set the foundation where it needs to be. From Lucas' perspective, that if done and executed the effective way, much like I guess he was giving an example for Civil War with Black Panther and with Spider-Man, that this would have fluidly just worked anyway. But there was a lot of in-between issues that I saw that was being pushed upon, even with BVS, with Suicide Squad, and with Justice League, that I would kind of go back and forth with that. We'll have that for another day, but I just wanted to comment on that. All right. After the private screening of the Whedon cut, Nolan and Deborah emerged into the light with shared mission. They came and they just said, you can never see that movie. Zack Snyder says during the lunch at Pasadena office, a moderate series of cubes and jutting from a hillside overlooks the Rose Bowl, because I knew it would break his heart, his wife adds. That that might seem overly dramatic. It just showed business after all. But Snyder's heart had already been through a lot. The battle over the Justice League was agonizing, but it wasn't the worst thing to happen to their family that year. Not even close. And we know that this is going and leading into the whole autumn thing. But this is the crazy thing. So I don't well, they didn't add the comments for what Nolan said, but it just said that anybody that's seen the theatrical cut of Justice League and knows all the different things foundationally Zack was trying to do, regardless of whether or not you agree with everything that's going to happen in this 4-hour, insane epic, knew that from the opening shot, dog, and I can't post it up right here. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to post it up right here. But the opening shot with Superman helping some kids on a camera phone, and just I was in the theaters. I was like, what is this? And then this is what messed it up. Then you got to the Batman scene. The Batman scene was kind of like, oh, okay, this is all right. But then I was kind of tricked into believing, with the opening crawl, the song and all that. I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's hope, But I knew from the very opening, I was like, oh, this is something different. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down. Again, you guys, you can always come back to this. I'm really just going down the whole entire Vanity Fair byline, okay? All right, professionally at least, things have vastly improved. For years, DC fans and Snyder enthusiasts who worship his high-octane brawn fest, like Dawn of the Dead remake, his ancient Greek battle saga 300, and his twisted Watchmen adaptation, beat a drum on the social media demanding Warner Brothers return the Justice League to its original filmmaker and allow him to share his vision of the movie. Which, from an artistic standpoint, I don't know who wouldn't want that. Regardless of what you feel about a director or artist or whoever, that expression or that ability to be able to really go and put out what is in your heart and what you are hoping, regardless if you have anything moving forward or not, regardless if you have a foundation or not, that is really inspiring. That is actually amazing. I don't think this has ever happened like this before. Because even with the Richard Donner thing, that took 10 years. And it wasn't even on like this. Like Richard Donner didn't get to go and be like, all right, well, I'm going to shoot all these extra things and have it be the way that I actually completely wanted it. Like, no, this is a completely, whatever this is going to be, this is all going to be Zack's. So, but there are some things in this article I've heard that I might not end up agreeing with. So just bear with this, you guys. I'm trying to be completely non-biased as I can. I'm trying to go from different angles as well. They dubbed it the Snyder Cut. The fans could be clever, but many were horrifically toxic. All of them were relentless, and they grew more numerous over time. Last May, they finally got their wish when Warner saw the potential to leverage all the public publicity and do something unprecedented with the upstarted streaming service HBO Max, which we know now things are drastically different. To Lucas's point, when this was announced, they didn't already make that plan with having like the legendary picture films and all the other films having a dual distribution release on the Max and theatrical. That wasn't even in the cards. They were trying to figure out what content they could put for HBO Max. And technically, it was a perfect timing. It was a perfect place. And it was kind of like, okay, this is it. This is what we need to kind of platform this, as well as adding certain things. But then when Wonder Woman dropped and everything else came out about where things were going to go, that changed the movie industry in and of itself over its head. But it also changed the way the motivations of Warner Media and HBO Max and where they were going to go and platform all these different films. And it's kind of like with this, it was something that initially was a target, but it also vastly changed in their perception of way they were going to utilize it or not. The difference is whether or not this is going to hit or whether this is going to slap. But the way that they're marketing it and the way they're going to be platforming it, they don't necessarily need it. but it will help if it actually does gain momentum and actually works for them, in my personal opinion. But there were different talks I had with Lucas about this, which again, maybe we'll go and break that down because we're supposed to be going and doing commentary for Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and maybe Justice League later on. So just stay tuned for that. I'm sorry. I told you guys this is a marathon. I'm talking, okay? I apologize. It's not uncommon for directors to lose creative control of a big budget studio spectacles, or for the other filmmakers to step in. But it's unheard of for a studio to return to an exiled, man, that's a hard word, exiled. Daggone, Vanity Fair. Brad, look, I tell you what, this is a very unbiased perspective. Like, it's very well written. Like, it's not looking like it's going one way left or right. It's looking like it's just trying to give the open and the truth. Because exiled that's a strong word, bro. And offer back the power and creative freedom it has yanked away, especially when that sounds a little bad, especially when some of the most beloved and lucrative characters in pop culture history are involved. The Snyder Cut is coming March 18th. So now look, when they were talking about, this is not an uncommonality. I mean, look at the director of Fantastic Four. Look at the director of Solo. Look at even the first Ant-Man. Like, I mean, this has happened. This does happen. It's just never happened to this level because the circumstances were, it's a terrible circumstance because of what was happening in this man's personal life. In addition to all the backlash and things that were happening from BVS in the executive's perspective of the way that people's perception of what the DC films was already looking like. Most people were looking at it in a negative connotation. Part of the reason why I even became a critic now today is because a lot of people had issue with Man of Steel. And I was one of the only ones that was like, yo, this was dope. Like, and I'm going to tell you why, you know what I'm saying? And I just wanted my voice to go and show like, okay, this is the way I feel about this, for good or bad, regardless of how I feel about a director. This, from my personal opinion, this is how I feel about it. Because it was a stigma, man. There was a lot of critics that were like, nah. And it was kind of like more people was like, I ain't trying to sound crazy. Like, nah, it's trash. You know what I'm saying? And then Wonder Woman came out, and that changed a lot of it. But with BVS, it from a recovery standpoint, like it was like a black spot, like Johnny Depp style. Like it was like literally marked. It marked this man for good or bad, regardless of what happened in between. There was a lot that happened from that point. So that was from 300 right here on the right. This is from on the left, and this is right here from Watchmen. It's a weird Rorschach image. I like that though, because you can't really see his face. It's actually really dope. All right, so let's keep on going down this. Thank you guys. Whoever's still here, I appreciate you guys. If you could leave a like and make sure you subscribe or follow us on wherever this is at. For the directors, the devotees, the Hollywood ending for the Hollywood story. But the truly devastating thing that happened to Zack Snyder and his loved ones in 2017, there can be no fix, no do-over. In the throes of the conflict with the Warner Brothers and Snyder's 20-year-old daughter, home from college and in the middle of a long, struggling depression, took her own life. I hope a lot of you guys would use tact when it comes to this, regardless of where you feel about Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. If you hate him as a filmmaker, if you hate him as a visual storyteller, if you feel like no, he's not made a good movie ever, please show as much tact and respect as you can when it comes to this specific subject matter. When Zack got taken off of Justice League, and this is from my memory, okay? I back when I was even on Twitter and watching stuff, I saw some people tweet out, "Good, I'm glad this happened. Now we can get a real director in Joss Whedon to fix this mess of a franchise. Yes, now I'm glad that he's gonna have to quit or DC fired him or whatever happened to us." Like, I was like, I wish I had these receipts. I don't have them on me now. They're somewhere in my phone, but I was blown away by the gall and the hatred and the heinous, like unnecessary gall of those kind of statements like that. This is somebody's kid. This is something that's happened to somebody. And this is the crazy thing. I remember when James Gunn, I think he lost his dog, like his dog, died or something like that. And people were just gravitating toward him, outpouring and love and stuff like that. And I think he was in between working on, what was that, their Superman weird joint, and also going and trying to figure out what he was going to do with Guardians, with the scripting of that, and also trying to figure out what was going to happen with his career. And everybody was kind of like really tactful with that. But there was a lot of people that were really just digging into this whole man, even in the midst of like this tragedy, even in the midst of all the foolishness. And I was like, no, bro, that's wrong. That's wrong. And if you still feel that way, look, just check yourself, man. Like that's just wrong. After 2 years spent largely focused on their children and extended family, Zach and Deborah went back to work, a difficult but vital part of the healing process. When they spoke to Vanity Fair for this story, they were completing The Army of Darkness, a zombie-filled heist extravaganza that will launch a new multi-pronged franchise for Netflix, as well as restoring Zach's original vision for the Justice League simultaneously, which is dope. The latter will be a 4-hour event for HBO Max that will raise money for suicide prevention programs that could help spare others the grief that shook his family. What does that mean? Because, okay, so whether you guys know this or not, at this current stage, since they started the suicide prevention, raising funds for Autumn, I believe it is 500,000 plus that's been raised just off of that, which is insane. It's amazing. It's part of the reason that Warner Brothers and Warner Media were like, man, this is amazing cause. This is an amazing thing. In spite of all the toxicity and some of the things that were said and done, that is for a good cause. Now, this thing right here, though, I didn't know that HBO Max was going to be using this to raise money for suicide prevention programs. That's interesting. I didn't know that. This is actually new information for me, which is really amazing. Shout out to AT&T for backing that. And I'm pretty sure Zach, wanted any money, I guess, that was going to go to him, possibly the proceeds to go to that, which is most likely, I guess, the case. But I'm going to keep reading. I apologize. Keep bearing with me, you guys. It's such a lightning strike in the center of the whole saga, Snyder says, of his daughter's death. It was informed. Everything would have... I'm sorry. It is informed everything we've done since. Their daughter's death was the reason for the Snyders walk away from Justice League, realizing their fight and spirit was needed at home. I remember that like it was yesterday. With their own children and with each other, rather than losing the battle with a powerful studio, now she is the main reason he decided to come back. At the end of the movie, it says, "For Autumn," Snyder says, sitting in the shadows of the darkness, editing suite, frames from the movie frozen on the screen around him. When he talks about his daughter, the otherwise scrappy, indignant 55-year-old filmmaker always looks away. Without her, this absolutely wouldn't have happened. Wow. That's rough, man. That's rough. So I did see an article. I'm not sure if this is going to mention it, is that when that moment comes up for Autumn, that it's going to be playing Hallelujah, which from my understanding, I talked to Jarrell about this because I didn't really technically know, to be honest with you, that the reason why they reused that, which most people remember from White Watchmen, was because that was Autumn's favorite. Like that was her favorite song, and it was in memory of her. And I think that they're going to be adding that into the movie accordingly. So, which is really beautiful. This is just rough, man. So, okay, all right, I got to talk about this. So first off, I really wish that Vanity Fair hadn't even have shown us the Joker image. I wish we would have just saw what we saw from the trailer and not had any kind of preconceived notions about this. Your boy Jarrell, shout out to Jarrell, because Jarrell cracked me up about it. He was like, somebody said to me, man, looks like you got a whole bunch of chocolate smeared on this face. I was cracking up. And when you see it, I mean, when you see it in the actual film, I mean, it's gonna be pretty dope. It's gonna be pretty awesome. But this picture over here to the right, though, it's a little blasphemous. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Like, I'm a man of God. Like, I'm a believer. And this is what I think is both of these moments right here in difference or in disconnect from the scene that we saw in the actual trailer. I think the scene that we see in the actual trailer is an actual moment that's actually happening. I think that in the last Vanity Fair article, Zach was talking about like Batman having this conversation with the Joker and meeting the Joker, and it was in his mind. It was actually a dream within a dream or something to that nature. And what my assumption is that as the Joker is talking with him, telling him about who he actually is or what he needs to be, that this is all a symbolic dream sequence. So I think that this moment right here is not literally going to be what this Joker is going to have, like his own crown of thorns. I hope not. Oh my God, I hope not. Man, that's going to be so controversial. There's going to be so many problems with that. I think that it's really just a symbolic moment that's going to happen, because up until this point, Zach has been very particular when it comes to like, the Messiah or Jesus, like base, ideals or complex. Because most of Man of Steel, they definitely went on that route. Like, and so I don't think that's what this is, but I don't know. I just believing that most likely this is a small fleeting moment that is going to have like this flash away where, either way, it's just really weird because it's the same exact backdrop that we've seen him in, the same exact moment. So we'll see. I don't know. Zach and his then wife Denise. Wait. Zach and his then wife Denise Weber adopted Autumn when she was 1. A little over 1. He says, smiling in the memory of her wild energy. Still an infant but crazy. Autumn was slightly older than the couple's son, Eli. They had 2 more children before they divorced. Snyder had 2 sons with line producer Kirsten Elon before marrying Deborah. His longtime producing partner of 2004, with whom he adopted 2 more children. The filmmaker has often said being an adoptive father is one of the reasons he is so invested in the story of Kal-El, a powerful being who became Superman thanks to the love and care of Jonathan and Martha Kent. More than 3 years after Autumn's death, Snyder still slips between the past and the present tense when talking about her. She's the only man. What is he saying? She's the only dork. She says, wait, hold on. Let me read that again. I apologize. She's the only dork. He says of his family. She's the only fan. The rest of them, he shrugs. And today, Eli interested in filmmaking, but Autumn was the only one of the children who matched her dad's kid-like enthusiasm for gods, monsters, aliens, superheroes. She's super creative, he says. She was a writer. She was Sarah Lawrence to be a writer. Snyder swipes through his phone and shows a selfie Autumn took of the Letterman jacket worn by Ray Fisher's character in the Justice League, a football star horrendously wounded in a car accident and rebuilt by a scientist father in the half of a robot warrior cyborg. I think that in the film, we're definitely going to get the car crash that most likely killed his mother in the same moment. And I think that it's going to be pretty gruesome. I feel like that's one of those moments that's probably a rated R moment. I'm not sure for gore or for violence, but I think it's going to be really hard. I think it's going to be really emotional. I think that from an acting standpoint, that might be one of those moments that Ray Fisher might really truly shine. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming because the actress that played the role of Karen, or is it Karen? I'm sorry, Karen is the actress that played the role of Victor Stone's mom. She was talking about that like a couple of years back, like when she was really supporting the vision and what could be, and just kind of talking around it, like that she really hopes that those scenes come make the light of day because it was a really great journey and moment with Ray Fisher. So I'm assuming that's going to be one of those from the football stadium to that moment. Autumn had been in therapy and on medications, but the depression remained brutal. She was always wondering about her worth. What's my worth? What am I supposed to do? What am I about? Snyder stumbles on his words, his eyes glassy. The conversation was like, of course you're amazing. What do you mean you're worth? You're worth more than anything in the world. And she would be like, yeah. Man, that's, gosh, tough, bro. That's rough. That's rough. I mean, this is his first time that I think this is the sad thing about all of this, bro. This is the first time this man's really opened up about all this. Like that we've known. Like, cause even at the different, cons and stuff like that he's done on the side, like the different interviews, like he's never really truly opened up about any of this. And I think that this has got to be rough, man. This is rough. Snyder says Autumn used writing to vent her pain, to channel it into words that might contain it, or to explain it. She adored sci-fi. Her main characters are always in battle with things from another dimension that no one can see, says Snyder. But it's a serious war. And that war was happening to her every day. I think so many people are in that battle and they smile and nod at you. The fact that the studio lost faith in Snyder's ability to make the Justice League seemed mundane and pointless after Autumn's death is such a lightning strike of the center of the whole saga, says Snyder. In a lot of ways, it would inform everything we've done since. Okay, that statement makes much more sense now. Because, man, dang, bruh. It's just a lot. It's a lot because there's a lot of people that are really dealing with, I mean, especially right now in the midst of this pandemic, bro. Hopelessness is real. Like, one, people's mental health is not all together. I'm gonna be frank with you guys. I haven't been the best. I haven't been doing the best, honestly, right? I've been doing movie reviews. I've been helping my family. I've been trying to be a good husband, trying to be a good dad, doing my due diligence, provide for the family, and working full-time job as well as all this. And I can say there's been moments that have hit me hard. And I can't imagine battling through like this high levels of depression in the midst of something like this. And then they lose her. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, I think that this is really important. I think this is a testimonial. And what I'm trying to say is that he's going through all the details, not to make you hyper sympathetic to the situation, which you should be. But I think it's also to bring assurance that if you're feeling this way, it's okay, but you need to talk to somebody about it. And you do. Anybody that's watching this right now that really is truly bad and depressed and really having like suicidal thoughts, please, IM me, hit me up on any of this social media stuff, because it's not worth you believing or perceiving that your life or your self-worth is meaningless. Like, regardless of how bad it is, like, don't let that win. Don't let that urge define who you are. I mean, even if I got to pray for you, please let me just talk, because this is real. And I think part of the reason why he's bringing this up is to bring awareness to those that are battling this or have children that are battling this, so these conversations can happen even quicker, possibly. But anyway, I'm gonna continue. I apologize for that. I didn't mean to go that route, even though I do mean what I'm saying. The Snyders tried to keep going through 2 months after Autumn's death. Now, this I remember. And this is the part that a lot of people don't know, or I don't think they remember. The Snyders tried to keep going for 2 months after Autumn's death, finding solace in finishing the Justice League. But by then, the situation with Warner had imploded. The official story was that Snyders were voluntarily leaving the movie due to family tragedy, and that Zack had handpicked Whedon to complete the movie he had planned. Only half of that was true. Oh, flip. Oh, snap. Are y'all still even here? I ain't even checking on the chat. Wow, it's 20 of you guys in here. I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for watching. Make sure you leave a like if you don't mind. It's about to be rough because I think he's about to spill all the tea. And I don't know. I don't know if I would have done this before the Snyder Cut release. I probably would have done this article afterwards. But again, at this point, I don't know. In 2010, when he began working on DC movies and Warner Brothers, Snyder was promoted as the visionary director through the critics sometimes. Those critics sometimes differed. Even his hits could be considered divisive. He'd emerged from music videos and commercials with the breakout remake of Dawn of the Dead in 2004 and followed it up with a otherworldly, visual, audacious tale of the Resistance 300, which became a box office behemoth in 2007. Given his choice in projects, Snyder picked Watchmen, the iconic graphic novel that scorned the classic tropes of superhero storytelling and explored the corrupting nature of power. In 2009, the adaptation unpinned comic book expectations, just as Hollywood had been building up an epic new franchises. Snyder then made a pair of box office disappointments, a digitally animated adventure about wearing owls called The Legend of the Guardians, and the surreal and sometimes would say sexist action movie Sucker Punch, before being called Take on the Legend Among Legends Superman. Oh man, this has got to be crazy. So when they said a visionary director, one thing I've always thought is that as far as with Zack, right? Even if Zack wasn't put in a state of being a director, right? I think that he would be a really good coordinator from a visionary standpoint of just mapping out a world. So say hypothetically speaking, right? If Zack didn't direct any more movies after Justice League, but he ended up working hand in hand with Jim Lee with figuring out visually the scope of the way, the platform, the DCU could be. Not saying that him and Jim Lee be a Kevin Feige, but him deliberately, without them directing anything, them just working as producers, working as visionaries to kind of set the tone and the perspective of the way DC Comics can be going and transfer into the film universe, as well as the animated universe, as well as the TV universe. I think that that would be a really good role for Zack, because then he wouldn't have to be like bombarded with directing. He would be able to really centrally focus on, because I mean, if you really look at it, really think about it, he's casted some really good people. He's casted and put into scope some amazing iconography from a visual standpoint. It's the biggest problem that most people from a device standpoint is said his storytelling, the way that he tells or pitches story and the way that he's trying to tell it. And I think that if he was out of the director's chair and he was kind of more into the visionary scope side, I think that it would be a very big asset to Warner Media, DC in general. Like it's kind of like, because even with that, it's kind of like they're not having to worry about him on a directing standpoint, if that's one of their indiscrepancies about it. But he can give you all the ammunition and fuel you need, and there would be a real backing for passion there. And I think that would be something, in my personal opinion, that they should even think or consider. But who knows at this point? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just letting you guys know my personal perspective on it. And I think I talked to Jarrell a little bit about this. When it debuted in 2013, I'll never forget that, Giant. Man of Steel established Henry Cavill as the object of the global thirst. This, just as 300 had done before with Gerald Butler and his washboard abs. Who the heck had written this? Snyder's twist was to present a conflicted Clark Kent rather than the sunny alter ego played by Christopher Reeve. Uh-oh, here we go. This is going to get interesting. I think this is where things started going left with the conversation I had in the chat. Snyder's Superman was willing to kill for what he thought was right, which many longtime fans of the character found reprehensible. And though he still saved the world, he never felt like he truly belonged in it. The studio had hoped for more than $668 million it made at the box office. Wait, hold on. What did I say? The studio had hoped for more than the $668 million it made at the box office, but Man of Steel fared well enough that Snyder to get another shot. This time to bring Ben Affleck into the universe of Bruce Wayne in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. The subtitle was a giveaway. This would be a prologue to Justice League, a superhero crossover event that some moviegoers had been pining for forever. Okay, so I just want to comment on a little bit of this, just because I do want to take it from both sides with this one. To say that Superman was willing to kill for what he thought was right, technically, he was willing to let somebody die too. He let his own father die. He let his own father, like, I wouldn't, for what his father believed, he allowed his father to go off from this earth, period. His man literally could have ran in there and nobody would have even known Jonathan. He could have moved so fast it wouldn't even have mattered, but he didn't. And the other side to that is that I don't think he wanted to kill Zod. I don't think, I honestly, even when I go back to it, there was, from the way that it was done, him having him in the chokehold, and literally there was no other way. This man was not going to stop. He wasn't even passing out. Like, as hard as man was holding him, he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't stopping. Those people would have died. Those people would have died. And technically, I'm going to be honest with you guys. If we're going back to the Christopher Reeve Superman 2, this man depowered all three of them, Kryptonians, and just threw them into a glass wall, to which they never came back. Technically, they're dead. So it's kind of like, it just, the difference is you blatantly saw a man snap another person's neck, to which that was actually could have been paid off really dope for the Maxwell Lord thing in hindsight, but it didn't. It's done. It's done. And so I think I know why people were upset about it, but at the same time, the circumstance, the way that it was written, there was no other way. I mean, whether you like the way it was written or not. The other part of this article, going in this section right here with BVS, from my understanding, I talked to Lucas a little bit about this. Zach initially didn't want it to be, Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. I think he just really wanted to be a Man of Steel sequel that had maybe Batman. I think the way that even Lucas read to me, it was that initially it was just supposed to be a Man of Steel sequel. And then he talked to the studios like, yo, what about Batman? Maybe we should introduce Batman into this. And the studio was like, oh, okay, cool. And then from that point, it became, maybe a world's finest kind of situation where it might be, got one movie and got another one. But then what ended up happening was they were like, oh, shoot, man, make this joint a sacrificial lamb. Let's put all the joints in there. Not only is Wonder Woman going to be featured in this, but let's go and add in the different other Justice Leaguers into this in beforehand. And I think a lot of people felt like it was just too much. It was just too much. And that's where I kept on going back and forth with Lucas about, with like some people's perception that the movie, it should have been multiple different standalone movies before he got to that point. And then from his perspective, that technically if it was done in a physical way, instead of everything being forced in at the same time, it could have just naturally flowed progressively either way, going from BVS and into Justice League, which it might be technically is right. But at the end of the day, the studio made that choice. That's what they really wanted to do. And, now we got what we got. But let's move forward. I just wanted to talk through those points. I apologize again. You guys, this is a marathon. Hopefully, you guys are at least entertained by this. This is a long read. Gosh, dog. Snyder wasn't just making big budget tent poles. Oh Lord, I don't know where he's about to go with this one. He'd become an architect of the entire DC cinematic universe, which he did. And that's why I was going with why my statement was, if he was just doing that, if he was just doing the architectural standpoint, and instead of doing directing too, I think the things could have been maybe a little bit different. But we'll go into that. We're gonna let this continue. And his cast choices continue to resonate. He chose Gal Gadot to play Wonder Woman, which I brought that up, in Batman vs. Superman, and produced by Patty Jenkins' standalone movie about the Amazon princess. I remember Gal saying to me, Zach, I was going to quit the business. I was just getting ready to just move back to Tel Aviv and just have a life there. I was done with Hollywood. I was going to do this one more audition. Then she came in. I was like, that's my Wonder Woman. Now she's the whole world's Wonder Woman. This is pretty dope. As Man of Steel, Snyder continued to challenge the expectations and the norms, which sometimes led to pushback from studio originalist fans. Aquaman, for instance, has always looked waspy. Is that what? Was that what they said? That says waspy? What the heck does that even mean? I don't know what that actually means. I feel like it's an acronym. Anyway, wimpy. I don't know what that means. In casting their role for Batman and Superman, Snyder decided to forego the blonde hair, blue-eyed comic book hero in favor of a long, dark-locked, smoky gaze of Jason Momoa, who had come to the audition, I didn't actually realize that, who actually came in to audition for Bruce Wayne. That's actually crazy. I didn't realize that. He's a Pacific Islander. There's a connection to the seas, and if he's Aquaman, he remembers thinking everyone was like, "You're insane." That's not a thing. And this is the funny thing. One of the first posters that I remember for Justice League was that Unite the Seven. Oh, no, wait, was that BVS or was that Justice League? I don't know. Anybody in the chat, let me know in the comment section. I can't remember. I feel like it was for Justice League, but that Unite the Seven, it was literally Jason Momoa. That was the first time we actually saw him, what he was supposed to look like. Because during that time, I think that they were finishing up BVS, but they were shooting Justice League, I believe. And then they showed that official image of him. I don't know what Ray Fisher is doing right here, but he's in the same exact spot that what's the name was in. And matter of fact, his mocap suit looks very different. I wonder why they changed it the way they did. That's interesting. So we'll see where that goes later on. It became part of a pattern. The studio gave Snyder the power to go anywhere he chose with the most valuable characters, and he's always went somewhere other than what they wanted. The director said. Still to his credit, all the recent DC films have used Snyder's universe as a foundation, even Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. Yeah, technically. I mean, we've known that, though. Yeah, because we knew that Birds of Prey is a sequel for Suicide Squad. But the Suicide Squad that James Wan is doing is not. I still don't understand that, but that's for another day. But yeah. I mean, for better or worse, what you felt about Birds of Prey, like it is a sequel to Suicide Squad, even though it's not a Suicide Squad sequel. Which take place in his version of Gotham City. The upcoming Flash film will connect all the desperate DC films by retconning through multiple universes, with Michael Keaton's Batman appearing along with Affleck's, which is weird. They still have yet to actually publicly announce that. It's so weird to me that they still haven't announced such a big name. It's just there. They just haven't announced. It's so weird. But this statement right here is weird. the film will connect all the desperate DC films with retconning through reckoning through multiple universes. I think the way that they verbalize this is really interesting. Because I wondered, I guess that means that technically the Flash movie will start in the Snyder universe, but will end in a completely different universe by the end of it, which will basically change the whole scope of the way the DC universe is going to be moving forward. But the harsh reviews for Batman vs Superman demolished Warner Brothers' confidence in Snyder. Even the director's champion, like producers head Greg Silverman, were worried. When Batman vs Superman came out, and we did get a negative reaction from the fans, it was disheartening for all of us, says Silverman. Now the founder and head of independent content company Stampede Ventures, Zach had made these movies like 300 that were such crowd pleasers, and that was our job to make crowd pleasers. And here we've made a movie together and it didn't really please the audience. And that's true. For no matter how you feel about Batman vs Superman, theatrical or ultimate cut, there were people that were not pleased with Batman vs Superman. Part of the issue that I started having with my reviews came because I was like, yo, I really like Batman vs Superman Ultimate Cut, and people were like, yo, this is some trash. This made no sense. Why you add all this? And I went months legit going through different videos talking about the dissections of why I felt the way I felt, having to plead my own case because that sounded crazy for even liking it. Like, that's what he's saying is not wrong. Like, there were people that had real issues that still have real issues with Batman vs Superman. But the crazy thing is that they're still talking about it. For better or for worse, people are still talking about Man of Steel. People are still talking about Batman vs Superman. And it's not even on the fact that these characters' names, like I'm talking about Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, yada, yada, yada. It's the fact of what these movies are. That's the thing that's the crazy thing. And I know for a fact that HBO Max, AT&T know for a fact that regardless of, where people's perspective from a subjective level on, Zach as a filmmaker or his movies, I mean, people talk about him. Like, his name is in everything. Like, it's insane. All right, so let's keep going. When Snyder quit, he took his unfinished Justice League on a laptop as a memento. He figured he'd show it to friends. Now, I knew about this, but I'm not sure where they're going with this conversation, though. Whoa, what are y'all? Is this people still looking at this? All right. Marvel Studio movies, whose success exerted such a pleasure from DC team, hit the formula that mirrored their classic roots, telling stories about relatable, everyday people grappling with sudden phenomenal powers. Snyder's DC universe approached its superheroes from the opposite direction, depicting gods and immortals who are at ease with wielding cosmic strengths, but strained to be human and connect with the ordinary world. The director envisioned this as a operatic, tragic, and perhaps a more challenging type of comic book storytelling, but Warner Brothers feared it made its heroes gloomy and their abilities a curse. Now, I'm gonna say this because there's a stigma between Marvel and DC. It's always been, and this goes beyond just the actual movies. This goes to the heart and core of the comics. Most of the time, if you go back to the readings of classic DC stories, that statement is true. Most of these heroes, they look at their abilities as a curse. Like, they look at it like the only ones that I would say that have the closest connection with that would be like the X-Men. Like, the metahumans in and of themselves look at their abilities and what they can do either as a curse. And it's hard for them to reconcile it as a gift, or even a gift that people can even accept And I mean, for better or for worse, I mean, Wonder Woman is a little different because she's empowered by who she is. Superman and Batman fundamentally, like, it's very vastly different. Now, I think from an approach standpoint over the years, even with Peter Parker, you know for a fact these characters have it, they can do it, but their own personal life is the tribulation that they have to go through, the sacrifice that they have to make on a continuous point. Most of the Marvel movies, everybody knows who these people are. Nobody has a secret identity. Not one person has a secret identity. And like, they don't have to deal with the circumstance of, oh man, somebody's gonna find out my secret identity. Oh man, this is gonna be this, or there's this consequence of this. Like, no, their consequence is going and fighting villains that are trying to kill them. So it is fundamentally very vastly different from these movies. But I don't know. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's just the way that these are executed and the way that they're received. I think that's the thing that at its core has to be maintained in some way, shape, or form. Not always for all, not always for everybody. Diane Nelson, I remember Diane, who was the president of DC Entertainment at the time, says she approached the Snyder. She appreciated that Snyder was more into deconstructing the familiar than reconstructing it. Zack is a masterful visual storyteller who goes deep on an individual character, she says. For some people, that is amazing. And for other people, that becomes a problem because they have fixed opinions about who those DC characters are and are not. Very true. I literally go into the chat, and if I posted the wrong thing about a certain superhero, somebody will be like, yo, that's not my Superman. You know what I'm saying? Or this is my Superman. Finally, somebody get my Superman right. One of the things that I've been recently doing is I've been, going and trying to see if it's possible for me to be able to look at the Superman and Lois show early. No, a couple of my other critic friends, they've already gotten it. I have not seen it yet. From the first trailer, I was intrigued by it. I liked the change of the suit because I didn't like the suit when it was in the Arrowverse. That was one of the problems I had off rip from it. Tyler Hoechlin, I'd seen him before, in other stuff. And I mean, he is the person from Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks. He's a little kid. And I knew that he has the capability, but it was kind of like I never even saw it. It wasn't, I didn't get to see the past few Supergirl seasons. And the only time that I actually did see him was in the crossovers. And the moments that he had in the crossovers in the Superman things that he was doing was dope. But the way that he was actually playing it, it was kind of like I wasn't catching what was being thrown at me. And so for me, when I saw him in the new suit, I was like, the suit looks dope, but it doesn't look good on him. And I don't know if I can get along with the way the story goes. But even just that, like, some people were like, well, this is better than, what Zack has been trying to do or whatever was done before. And I was like, man, there's a hypocrisy there because I have my own perspective on it. Like, I'm allowed to have my perspective just like you're allowed to have your perspective on it. What's the issue here? Like, we're just talking about our indifferences. What at the end of the day, the point is whether it proved anything. And I'm waiting for Superman and Lois to triumph, to work. I've heard good things about it. I'm waiting for it to actually succeed in my personal perspective. And from other people, that it already failed them with Man of Steel. It already failed them again with BVS. And they already have the preconceived notion that Zack Snyder's Justice League is not going to work. Period. That's you're allowed to have that opinion. But it does, in my personal opinion, it does a disservice that you're not going to actually go into it open minded and open clear. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things that's a disservice. If I went and said, no matter what, Tyler Hoechlin ain't never going to be my Superman, then I would be in the wrong. And I might have my issues with it, but I can't say that yet. I have to wait and see, this is where it's going to go down the line. And that's the only reason why I bring that up. I don't know where I got to that point. Sorry. Again, I told you guys, this is a marathon. Hopefully you guys are at least enjoying some of this. I can't believe it's still 24 of you guys even in this. I've been talking for a grip. I need to drink a little bit more water. Oh, my goodness. All right. In 2016, the principal photography got underway for Justice League in United Kingdom. Rumors procreated that Snyder had been fired from the film. That didn't happen, but Warner Brothers then chairman, CEO, oh my God, Kevin Fujihara. Oh man, I'm not even gonna make comments. Did assign watchdogs in the form of DC Entertainment creative chief. Oh goodness, Jeff Johns. And Warner Brothers co-production head John Berg. The edict was clear. At least one of them had to be on set every day. Dang. Mm, mm, mm. Dang. I knew that I knew their involvement, and I remember the rumor that he had been fired, but I didn't know that they were literally micromanaging him every day. Because to me, either one, let the man go, or take the script and rewrite the script and do it the way you want it to be done and be done with it. But micromanaging, that's crazy to me. Anyway, let's keep reading. Berg, who's now production president for Stampede, recalls that duty as a low point. Dang. It was really tricky and not a position that I love, to be honest, he says. I tried to be forthright about what I thought creatively. My job was to try to mediate between a creator whose vision was instinctually dark, and a studio that perceived, rightly or wrong, that the fans wanted something lighter. Yep. I was respectful for the director and didn't pursue things that were coming at me from a corporate side, and I thought weren't in line with what we would make the best movie. Right then and there, when it started to get to that point, they should have scrapped it. For good or bad, I think that they should have probably scrapped it. I do know that during that time, it was before the transition of 2018 when AT&T was going to, absorb Warner Brothers and end up becoming Warner Media. And I do know that from that time frame, it was like a lot of money situations going on with like bonuses and stuff like that. So I think that they were trying to just get it made. But I remember even then when they brought Joss in, I was like, okay, they're just going to wait until 2018 or 2019 to drop this film. Like, it doesn't make any sense to try to rush it out 2017. And I think ultimately they probably should have. Like, if the indiscrepancy was Zach, if it was that, you felt like this wasn't a fit, I don't know if because, so much time and money had already been spent that they couldn't recoup that. Kind of like what they did with the Solo situation. But at the end of the day, from an unbiased perspective, they probably should have just scrapped. Because at that point, now you're going to be making something that is an amalgam of two different ideals. And it's a reactional move, because you're going on with saying that all fans want DC, characters to be light, which isn't true. Batman is not a light character. Superman is more the light character. Wonder Woman's indifferent because she's a goddamn warrior. Cyborg, in our preconceived notions of Teen Titans, that's what we remember him from. But if you go into comics, he has a tragic, dark story. The Flash is a light character, but he's got a dark undertone backdrop. If you remember the first 3 seasons of The Flash, I know you guys remember, part of the reason why those hit so good is because them joints was well to tragedy, bro. Like, Barry was just losing consistently. So from the perspective of saying that everybody wanted light, I think that might have been skewed. I don't know if they knew what the fans wanted, and I think that might have been part of the problem. For good or bad, of John Berg's perspective here, or Zach's inclination of what he felt that this should be carried on to from a vision standpoint. I think that ultimately the issue was the perception of what Like, it's kind of like Marvel understood what these people wanted to be entertained. I'll give them that straight up. Like, they knew, like, this is what they're gonna get. This is what they will go crazy over, and we gotta keep feeding them that. You know, even if we're not gonna change, we're gonna keep doing that. And I don't think that Warner Brothers necessarily understood the audience to know what exactly they wanted, because there are different lines of people in DC for years. You got to deal with a history. You got to deal with the history for each one of these iconic characters, as well as their comic book people, and people that are very opinionated on what they do and don't want. So I think that to that point, I can understand it. Again, I'm playing this from a unbiased perspective and breaking this down the way that I'm looking at it and the way I'm reading it. Snyder knew why Johns and Berg were on set. You could say babysit. He says many filmmakers would have bristled at the intrusion, but he was gracious. It didn't bother me too much because they weren't that threatening. I just felt that ideas they did have, where they were trying to inject humor and stuff like that, it wasn't anything that was too outrageous. So I wonder where this conversation is gonna go, because from where he's saying right here, he didn't think that was too outrageous, to where it ended up being. Because I wonder, all I could think of is that freaking Flash and Wonder Woman scene. Anyway, let's keep going. Yo, this is a dope shot. The freaking mask looks like it's worn down. That's a dope shot. One of my friends, Patrick, shout out to Patrick Day if he's watching this. He's like, I don't like these goggles. He's like, they look like when Snoopy was riding the Red Baron, which is his doghouse. I thought that was funny, but I think it's fine. I mean, most post-apocalyptic dress. If you look at Book of Eli, everybody had sunshades because of the radioactive light. So I'm assuming that it's just the situation. You'll like it later. They don't show Amber Heard's costume here, but we do remember a different variation costume that Zach had put on Vero. I mean, whatever you feel about Amber Heard, that's another thing. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a pretty dope scene if it's a nightmare scene. All right, man, this is rough. How far was I? Man, I got a long way to go. I can keep reading. All right, you guys, I'm just gonna keep reading because this is a long read. And I feel like I've been doing this for now. Daggone, how long have I been doing this? You guys are at least entertained, I hope. An hour and 7 minutes. Oh my god. Bruh, I feel like Jarrell, who freaking read for 6 hours what did he read? A Tesla manual. Shout out to him. I'm gonna stop doing much commentary and supposed to just go ahead and read through this thing so you guys can kind of get it. And I'll leave my opinions for the final part of this. Not just that, I'm getting thirsty as I'm drinking water. But Warner Brothers did nix some of his sweeping notions of the Justice League, like adding romance. This is where this is where I started having people talk to me. It's like, yo, why, fan, why? But Warner Brothers did nix some of his sweeping notions for Justice League, like adding a romance between Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and Amy Adams' Lois Lane. I'm just keep reading. I picked the wrong time to not say anything. Oh God. Who was mourning Superman's death in the previous film? The intention was that Bruce fell in love with Lois, and when he realized that the only way to save the world was to bring Superman back to life, said Snyder. So he had this insane conflict because Lois, of course, was still in love with Superman. We had this beautiful speech where Bruce said to Alfred, I never had a life outside of the cave. I never imagined a world for me beyond this. But this woman makes me think of that if I can get this group of guys together, then my job is done. I can quit. I can stop. And of course, that doesn't work out for him. Oh my gosh. Ugh. That does not look good. That's not a look, bro. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, bro. That's not a good look for Batman. It's not. So in the animated joint, the World Finest, if you go to the World's Finest animated feature, it's like two or three episode arc from I think it was from Superman's adventures. When that went down, right? At first, we knew that Lois loved Superman, but she didn't know he was Clark. And she sees this billionaire playboy coming to town. She starts smacking on him, and they ended up going out, like kissing and all this and that. He's taking her out. She finds out Batman's Batman. She finds out Bruce is Batman. She's still with him, you know what I'm saying? And he eventually kind of is like, yeah, I got to dip, man. I got to go. And she kind of realized this wasn't the best thing. But at that time, it wasn't like Superman was dead. It wasn't like this happened. Matter of fact, this is worse because I swear this is what happened in the death of Superman because Lex Luthor freaking was macking on Lois, and we felt sick about that. So why, fam? Why would Bruce do that? I could see maybe, I ain't gonna say, man, that's a whole Diane Lane situation. I'm not gonna go that route. I could see Diana. Right? Maybe. But yeah, that's one of those ones. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Zach. And this is the crazy thing. When this right here says, and of course, that doesn't work out for him. If things are going the way that first off, I'm gonna say this. I don't know if he cut this out of the actual film. It never states this in this part of this, and this is why I'm taking so long with this explaining stuff. I don't know. I hope he did, but I do remember when he did his director's cuts that he had talked about how Lois died and how that broke Superman. And I don't know if there's a situation where they brought Superman back to life after Lois died or not. I don't know. But yeah, I can see why Superman lost it. Like, this is an injustice situation. Like, this is the ultimate betrayal. Like, Bruce, you can't. No. Yeah, I think that's my personal opinion. That's added drama for the sake of extra drama. Not just that. I don't think that they filmed this. I just don't think they filmed this. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm gonna leave it at a go. It didn't work out for Snyder either. The studio said no. The downside of making epics and studio financial expectations for Justice League, Warner Brothers wanted a big, round $1 billion in global box office, which Snyder's movies had never reached. In January 2017, the director showed his first cut to Sugiura. Interesting. Hold up. Excuse me. In January 2017, the director showed the first cut to Sugiura. It didn't go well. According to Snyder and others, Sugiura, who resigned from Warner Brothers in 2019 amid a sexual misconduct scandal involving aspiring actress Charlotte Kirk, declined an interview request. Ugh. Among these issues was the length of the film. That's crazy. I do remember this. It was a mandate from Sugiura that the movie had to be 2 hours long. Straight up. Like, he was like, this joint, 2 hours. I don't care how much you shot, it's got to be 2 hours. So it's weird because imagine you're a director. You give the person that's the major CEO of whatever your film. Film is 3 hours and 30 minutes long. Just to say that. And he's like, nah, bro, this got to be 1 hour and 30 minutes. No, take that 2 hours out. Brad, like, that sounds insane. Among the issues, was the length of the film. There was a mandate for 2 hours long. That order had a paradoxical impact because it meant eliminating much of the heart and humor the studio also wanted, like the comical romance subplot between Ezra Miller's Flash and Kirstie Clemens' Iris. Dang, I didn't know that. Oh man. Interesting. Dang, the latter of whom was absent entirely from Whedon's film. On the day of Vanity Fair visited the office, Snyder was working on finalizing the music for the restored scene in which the Flash rescues her from the car crash. Interesting. Interesting. Snyder also saw the bigger structural problems with Make It Shorter Order. How am I supposed to introduce 6 characters and an alien with the potential for world domination in 2 hours? I mean, I can't do it. It can't. He meant no. It was. I mean, I can do it. It can be done. Clearly, it was done. He says, referring to Whedon version, but I didn't see it. So when he says, where is this right here? How am I supposed to introduce 6 characters? I had this conversation with Lucas earlier. Introduce 6 characters and an alien with the potential for world domination in 2 hours. I don't have the time to go into it. I'll leave this one for a different conversation because I could break this down. This will take me 15 minutes to even break down because I know the characters and I know Lucas's thoughts on it. I think the difference with this and the Avengers is that the Avengers had every single one of those characters already introduced in a different separate movie, which kind of gave an inclination to who they are aside from the character Hawkeye. Even Hawkeye showed up in Thor temporarily, so we knew he was working for S.H.I.E.L.D. With this, it was vastly different because these characters, aside from a small little cutscene, it didn't none of the things that mattered with them. So it's like, even though I think Lucas said that Aquaman didn't matter, I mean, he kind of does in whatever the subplot that he has for it, to kind of platform him into it. It's just weird because the foundations of what this Justice League movie was supposed to do was supposed to push them into their standalone films, which is very indifferent to what it would have been. Because technically, Ben's movie also would have been like Diana's or Wonder Woman's, in that it would have been a prequel film. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'll go into that though another day. I do think it's very vastly different. And the aliens referred to is not just John Jones, the March Man. He's talking about Darkseid. He's talking about Steppenwolf. So reports that Snyder himself asked Whedon for help were false. John's, one of the studio's appointed babysitters, had been planning a Batgirl movie with Whedon. And Snyder and the others say Johns recruited him to do rewrites for Justice League. John's representatives didn't respond for comment. Once again, Snyder was gracious and even hopeful. I thought maybe he could write some cool scenes, and I thought it would be fun. Soon it became clear that Warner Bros. Was giving Whedon more and more power. He would not just advise during the reshoots, but also do some directing himself. Snyder says he only had one conversation with Whedon about the studio's notes, reeling from Autumn's death and finding anguish in their work rather than relief. Zach and Deborah quit. We just lost the will to fight the fight in a lot of ways, says Zach. All of us, the whole family, were just so broken by losing Autumn that having those conversations in the middle of it became like, I was like, really? Frankly, I think we did the right thing, because I think it would have been either incredibly belligerent or we just rolled over. And that's wild. That's wild, bruh. So, man, I want to say more, but I'll wait. I'm just keep reading. One by one, they called the members to the cast and crew. Remember, it was a movie theater, coincidentally enough, that Ray Fisher said the rest of the Snyder reshoots last fall. I was walking to the I was walking in the AMC right in Times Square. I got the call from Zach, and he was saying that he had a deal with some stuff with family, and he was having to step away. I had a trillion questions. My heart sank. Whedon rewrote and reshot 3/4 of the Justice League from what Snyder can gather. When fans ask him about the details of the movie and bears his name, he usually had no other idea of what they were talking about. Worst of all, for Warner Brothers, Whedon didn't exactly save them. when we got to see what Josh actually did, it was stupefying, says the studio executive. Dang! Who requested anonymity? The robber on the rooftop, so goofy and awful. The Russian family was so useless and pointless. Everyone knew it. It was so awkward because nobody wanted to admit this piece of wow was it. It was wow. That's the one. Yo, hold on. I'm gonna say this. I thought I was gonna keep reading, but that's throwing some dirt in my man Josh Whedon's face, bro. Because he's already got some bad allegations against him. It's been happening for a while. But this on top of like added, and it's kind of like I don't know. And I talked to a good also member of Team JVS and Jorge about this, and he was kind of asking me, do you think this is something that was perpetuated because of the situation, or if this was also banking on like from an audience standpoint, like would this bring more attention to Zach's vision because of all the craziness that's going on with Josh Whedon? I think it's a combination of both. I think that they're telling the truth. They're going into it. I don't know why this studio executive decided to go into this much great detail like that. Yeah, but I definitely think it's a combination of the two. That definitely like there's a lot of scandal off of Whedon's backtails right now, and I think that that's also bad press, but good press all at the same exact time. But let's go ahead and continue. Justice League opened November 17, 2017, and cratered. Dang. Because the Cavill had been making Mission Impossible Fallout during the reshoots, Whedon's team had to digitally erase his mustache. I don't know who that digital team is. I like how they didn't put that in this, whatchamacallit, because anyway, which led to a bizarre warping of his face. The jokes fell flat. Behind the scenes, some of the cast had revolted. The flip. I know Ben was going through a lot, man. This man was going through it. Fisher has publicly claimed that Whedon was abusive on set and Warner Brothers executives enabled his actions. Oh, man, who wrote this article? Gadot told Los Angeles Times that she had negative experience with Whedon, which she reported to the higher-ups. Oh. After concluding this investigation, Warner Brothers announced that remedial action had been taken, though the studio didn't offer specifics. Days before the announcement on HBO, a division of Warner Media parted ways with Whedon on the sci-fi series The Nevers. Fisher continues to clash with the studio and has expressed dismay at the outcome of the investigation. The cast, I'm not gonna go down that road. I'm not gonna talk about it. The cast were very loyal to Zach, and they were hurting for him, says Nelson, the former DC president. It would have been a difficult environment for any director to walk into. I have no doubt about that. But then how Josh chose to handle that is Josh's to live with. Dang, she threw that man under the bus. She just threw him under the bus. Dang. Yo, this article, man, there's some tea in this article. I'm surprised Grace Randolph isn't like just breaking down this whole thing, because this is a read right here. Hopefully you guys are entertained. It's still 20 of you guys. What? It's 30 of you guys in here. You guys are amazing, man. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this commentary, because this is a lot. My voice is slowly given way, and I don't have that much water left. In the aftermath of Whedon's version, a new narrative arose in the social media. Release the Snyder Cut. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut. Snyder gradually began to encourage the movement, but it was hard the first time. I'm so sorry. It's hard the first thing on his mind. Yeah, that was interesting, because Zach left Twitter, Instagram, everything he was on, he went to Vero out of nowhere. Like, low key, I'm going to say this. Vero, in my opinion, was built on the backs of Zack Snyder. That's not shade. I think it's a dope thing. Like, Vero's actually really good. Like, I got freaking credited and verified on Vero. Like, I actually really do like Vero, but I think a big part of the reason why Vero popped is a lot of the direct news and stuff came from Zack Snyder, and it still does. It still does. It's just now he's on everything, which that's good. From the time we left, said Snyder, it was not a great year, but we did a lot of stuff with the family. It was really an important year. That year together became 2. After grieving autumn and starting to heal with his family, he began to work on Army of the Dead, a visceral, funny, and exceedingly dark smash and grab story about an elite strike team that goes into a zombie overran Las Vegas to retrieve a hidden fortune before the hot zone is nuked. That sounds insane. The zombie virus emerges. Wait, what? The zombie virus emerges from Area 51, so aliens may be involved too. What? During a day-long interview, Snyder giddily scans through the concept art and the accompanying animated series, approving vehicles, otherworldly weapons, and supernatural beings. He makes suggestions for changes to his team of artists, and all working remote via Zoom. Behind him, in a wall-length bookshelf, there's a frame with 2 photos. Autumn and Eli in their bathing suits as toddlers, beaming with the small smiles as their dad is assessing his monsters. And the Army of Darkness movie is a lot to tackle, and related to the prequel and animated series, even more all-consuming. Scott Stuber, the head of the original films in Netflix, says it's a chance to build a world with a filmmaker who is hungry to return. Zach went through something very difficult, and I think he probably realized, like we all do, it's okay to be vulnerable. For those of us lucky enough to know him and Deborah, he's a very soulful, kind, thoughtful human being. He's got this facade of big action movies and all these bravado things, but there's a sweet kindness to him. I've heard that from most of the people I've heard that's been saying that Zach is a sweet soul. Like, he's actually a really sweet soul, and a pleasure to work with. I haven't heard too many people actually didn't like working with him. It's dope. Dave Bautista like shooting this thing in midair. That's gonna be a dope shot, man. I ain't gonna lie, this is gonna be a fun movie. For real, for real. Taking the tar out there. I'm sorry, y'all. All right. At the time of the story's abusive creators, Snyder is an anomaly. Even executives who sometimes at odds with him agreed that he's genuinely nice. I'd be stronger than that, says Silverman. He's a wonderful guy. and fosters a wonderful working environment on his sets, and he really values the crew. He values his cast. Snyder's movies tend to be about strength, what it means to wield it. Maybe it is inevitable that he'd eventually not only join the release of Snyder Cut bandwagon, but begin driving it. When Snyder left Warner Brothers, he took his laptop, which was, I don't know what that, embezzled with the Justice League sticker on a hard drive. On the hard drive was his original 4-hour version. It was devoid of visual effects, music, and all fine tuning that was make a movie a movie. It was also black and white. To him, it was a memento, he thought. He would just show it to random people who stopped by, like our friends or whoever. Rather than fade away, the demand for the Snyder Cut gained momentum over the years. Groups paid every single engine airplane to fly to release the Snyder Cut banner around both the Warner Brothers studio lot in Burbank and the annual Comic-Con gathering in San Diego. I was actually there when they did that. Last year, fans pulled resources by the Times Square billboard, which was insane. I wish I could have seen that. A Nux's contingent of followers through didn't just advocate for the movie, but also used the social media to attack people who were critical of Snyder or their cause. Maybe they hoped the silence dismissers, or maybe they were just trolling, being trolls. In any case, the film journalists with the negative takes reported getting swarms of insults and even threats. Unfortunately, I think that a lot of the online fandom and fandom culture is headed in a very toxic direction, says Kayla Donaldson, who writes for the Pajiba.com. It essentially is strong from the Snyder Cut acolytes, and she adds, perhaps because they respond misguidingly to the director's tales of loner heroes in hostile world. I don't get this from the Birds of Prey fans or the Shazam fans, says Donaldson. Oh Lord. I got a little bit from the Joker fans, but nowhere near the same level. Nonetheless, she's looking forward to Snyder's movie. I think the 300 is a great fun. I think the first 10 minutes of Watchmen are some of the best things any superhero movie has ever done. I don't know how many people have said that. Even if she doesn't end up liking Snyder Cut, she says, I would rather watch one person's chaos than a committee's snooze fest. Wow. I don't know what to take from that, but at least she was being blunt. Honestly, I mean, it definitely sounds like a little bit of a bias. It sounds like she likes the route that, they're taking. It's the weird thing is that Birds of Prey is a rated R film. Like, things are completely different now with DC. Like, long ago, it was kind of like, well, we want to be lighthearted, but then Joker comes out. Oh, we want to be lighthearted. Then Birds of Prey come out. Oh, we want to be lighthearted. Now the Batman is going to be rated R. Like, things are vastly different, and I think that they're not leaving it to be cookie cutter anymore. So I'm saying all that to say that there is change happening, even in spite of Zach being there or not. Like, preventive maintenance has happened for the betterment of the craft of the studio, where it's like some of these characters can exist and be like a Shazam or Aquaman, and there can be something like a Joker or the Batman in their own lane, and they don't have to be all exactly the same. And I think that that's one of the things that, to me, sets apart DC, that what they could be. A clinical psychologist who explores superhero archetypes in Arkham Sessions podcast notes that fans get especially aggressive on social media when they feel that they've been denied something. What I've observed is that the enduring false sense of ownership which is manifest as abuse, threats, strong, intense reactions when a story doesn't go their way. She says, fighting for an unseen cut of a film became a cause. In some quarters, the worst behavior metastasize. They're shouting and people listening to them, even if the negative comments, they're getting positive reinforcements to continue down that path. Now, this is what I'm going to say, and this is not defending these people, because I've seen some people say some outlandishly toxic things that were not good. That doesn't help the movement. Honestly, some of the things that some of these actors are doing from even this, movie, I don't know if they should be even doing. I don't think it necessarily helps. I think from an overarching standpoint, it makes sense, but I don't necessarily think it helps. But Star Wars. Star Wars. That's all I got to say. Like, look, I'm gonna show you something that'll trigger some people right now. I like The Last Jedi. I thought it was freaking dope. And people will probably come at me. And I can tell you the reasons why I do. And I can also tell you the reason why you probably don't. But there's been some, Ryan has been threatened, dog. Like, it's been some terrible things that have been said. And even, this is one of the things that's so bad. I am a Marvel and a DC and used to be former Fox and a Sony fan. I love superhero movies in general. And yet, there's some people on Marvel's end and on DC's end that just want to crap on the other incessantly over certain characters and over certain directors and over certain themes that they feel as though there's entitlement to just splash hate, splash controversy, and just go and troll. And it's so annoying and it's so unneeded and it's so unhealthy, bro. So unhealthy. So, I mean, I agree with what she's saying, but it's not just secluded to this. It's all over the place. The trolls have actually held back the movement. The looters and otherwise peaceful demonstrators. Snyder cringes at descriptions of the abusive tactics. I 100% think it's wrong, he says. I don't think that anyone should be calling anyone anything. I've always tried to give people in the fandom attention who do good things. It's true. Anytime somebody be asking some trolling stuff, like that don't be getting behind any of that. And even like, he's not openly trashed Joss Whedon. He said he ain't liked the movie, but he ain't openly trashed him. Like, he has openly like said like, man, how dare they do that? Like, he never, came at anybody. Not really, not nobody. And that's how you use professionalism. That's how you go and do this in a tasteful way. You know what I'm saying? Like, for good or bad, whatever you feel about the man, he don't be coming at everybody. He keeps, like, when he started putting those pictures out from his cut, he has a full right to do that. I mean, if Warner Bros. Let him. But he didn't openly, spur hate. Like, he was just putting pictures out there. I mean, people could call that trolling, and it's true, bruh. There's some podcasters and critics that were saying something along the lines of, he needs to stop the crap. He needs to stop this, and he needs to do this. He needs to do that. I'm like, man, bro, leave the dude down. Doesn't matter. Like, it was at that point, we didn't know if it was ever going to be able to see light of day, or it was real at that time. Some of us didn't know. But yeah, it's some toxic stuff all around, man. It's not just a one-sided thing. Like, it's been more people wanting to defend the reason that it shouldn't be existence than it actually being a thing. And that's real. I can definitely go. Matter of fact, I could run a poll right now. Some people I asked them, should the Snyder Cut exist? Some people legit put, no, it's garbage. It makes no sense. This is gonna be terrible. I promise you, people would say that. November 2019 brought a sustained hashtag push on Twitter, which Snyder promoted. Gadot, Affleck were now calling for the Snyder to be released too. A few days later, Toby Emmerich, chairman of Warner Brothers Picture Group, called Snyder with the offer. Let's try again. A lot of people at this company, myself included, always felt badly that Zach didn't get to finish the vision of the film because of the circumstances, says Emmerich. And so if there was a way to make a logically and financially possible, which HBO Max did, and Zach was willing to do it, it seemed like a win for everybody. I believe what he's saying. And I think that another tie to that is that suicide prevention with $500,000 to suicide prevention. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a double whammy. Like it was unavoidable, regardless if how they want to disperse it. That's another thing. But I mean, I'm pretty sure this is how the conversation went down for sure. But I don't know about the felt badly because of the circumstance. Maybe because the movie didn't do good. But I don't know. I can't speak for it. This is dope. It's a dope little picture. Initially, says Snyder. Here we go. Warner Brothers just wanted to release the raw footage on his laptop. Now, I'm gonna say this because for years there were some people that were just like, "Yo, just give us the thing, whatever you got, just give it to us. We'll look at it." And I think there's some people that probably would have just paid for that and would have been fine with it, black and white and all. It's just how it was. I think some people would have been like, "Pop that joint on the Blu-ray, we'll buy it, and we'll give you the money and the revenue to go and put extra stuff to it. Just let us get it. Let's see it." I knew people like that. It was almost like do y'all remember like the Paranormal Activity? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Paranormal Activity when it first came out, when it was limited to people to be able to see it, everybody was like, "Yo, I just want to see it. I don't care how I see it." Like, and then it eventually came out, but it was like that. Like people were sized. Like it didn't matter. Like they would have went for it. Like I mean, I think they about to say something disrespectful in a second here in this reading, but make no mistake, some people were said I would have just looked at it. But there's a connection to this. I think I was like, "That's a no." That's a hard no, he says. And they were like, "But why? You can just put it up, the rough cut." Snyder didn't trust their motivations. Now, I don't know if I would have put this in the Vanity Fair article. I would have waited. I would have waited, bro. I would have waited before I put any of this to the movie actually released out. Like, you got a whole month to go and no more trailers to go. Like, I don't know. Here's why. 3 reasons. 1, you get the internet off your back, which is probably your main reason for wanting to do this. I kind of agree with that, but then I think that they just knew that this was content that could go to HBO Max. But again, if the distribution side of this is a raw one at that time, maybe they were thinking like a digital, like physical copy. I don't know. I can't imagine them taking a raw thing like that and putting it on HBO Max. That would be just weird. So I don't know. Maybe he's right. 2, you get to feel vindicated for making things right, I guess, on some level. I don't know about that either. And then 3, you get a crappy version of the movie that you can point and go, "See, it's not that good anyway. So maybe I was right." I was like, no chance. I'd rather have the Snyder Cut be a mythical unicorn for all time. Now, this is where things get a little hazy because some people I've already seen start to say some controversial stuff. Because a lot of people were like asking Zach. I remember the moment when somebody asked him at the director's cons joint, and he said, and I quote, "I have a cut. It exists. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. That's really up to them." He's talking about Warner Brothers. I remember that like it was yesterday. And for him to make this statement, you get a crappy version of the movie that you can point and go. So he's saying that the film that was unfinished, that was on his laptop, if presented out to the masses, would have been perceived as a crappy version, because it is technically a assembly cut that is technically finished for 4 hours, but has no VFX, has no score, and doesn't have polished or refined principal photography that's been kind of looked over. So I think that from a public perception standpoint, maybe he's not saying that the movie is bad, but he's saying that the way that people would have perceived it, it's like, oh, what is this? Like, what is this unfinished stuff? So I think that he might be right on that, but I don't know. It's just, I'm taking it from every angle, you guys. I'm taking it from every angle. Snyder estimates it costs around $70 million to undo Whedon's redo. Wow. That's crazy. For that, HBO Max gets 4 hours of hotly anticipated programming and the Hollywood comeback story of a lifetime. Snyder himself gets nothing. I'm not getting paid, he says. He was paid the first time, of course. This time he wants creative control, and foregoing a fee helped. I didn't want to be beholden to anyone, and it allowed me to keep my negotiation powers with these people pretty strong. So wow. So it's weird though, because he's still also getting what he really truly wants, is this money and the proceeds to go to suicide prevention. Again, this harpens back to the first statement that was made in this article I didn't know about. So we're almost done, y'all. We're almost done. Oh, Lord. Why are we going here? Fisher, for one, was eager to return. There's not a day that had gone by over the last 3 years I haven't thought about this movie. That I have not sat up at night thinking, what if there was a world wherein this thing actually does get released, says the actor. Sitting on the set in his grayscale motion capture suit, I probably should have let it go, but there was just so much that we left behind in that version of the film. It was a completely different movie. As for the fan base, the Snyder movement has contributed $500,000 to American Foundation of Suicide Prevention through donations, sales, merchandise, auctions of props. People have been saying, oh, they attack people, says Deborah Snyder, her eyes tearing. But this fan base has saved lives. As much as they wanted something for themselves, they've come together for some amazing cause. I feel so helpless trying to help someone and you don't know what to do. It's literally life or death. And I felt like we didn't really know where to turn. Wow. A lot of that is definitely projected from what they went through. And she's right. I mean, I always go and harp into that. That's not making an excuse for people going and being toxic or going and bashing. That'd be like, all those people that, like say everyday speaking, the director of, or J.J. Abrams or somebody else is like, yo, I got a whole different cut of what you want for, Star Wars 3, and it's never been done. I forget what the guy's name for the third Star Wars movie. And they kind of were just like, well, I want you to go and donate to, the Children's Foundation and do this, and I'll show you different clips, and then it eventually becomes a thing. This is different. This is vastly different of a circumstance. Whatever case, it doesn't diminish the reality of the situation. Like this is real. This is a life and death situation that did happen to them. It befallen their family. This is more significant. What they did in raising $500,000 for suicide prevention, is more important than them getting this vision of the movie done, because I mean it's night and day. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out. Rebuilding a story always envisioned is what invigorates Snyder most. He can go deep and dark as he likes. He can say to heck with DC's official timeline for the characters and let his alternate version of Justice League's story wind up whenever he pleases. And he put Superman in the sleek black suit instead of the iconic blue and red. He's added Joker Jared Leto. He has reshot the ending with the hero cameo that will blow hardcore fans' minds. That's interesting. I'm gonna come back to that. And what may be a divisive move, he's also presenting the movie in boxy 4:3 format rather than the widescreen, so that one day it can be watched on IMAX screens. Some may be irritated by seeing Justice League on HBO Max. It's black bars on the side. Snyder isn't troubled by that. The director also is layering some of the deeply personal elements. The movie closes with Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, performed by Alison Crowe, a friend who also sang at Autumn's funeral. It was Autumn's favorite song, now an elegy to her. Justice League, however anyone else feels about it, is made of things and people Snyder loves too. When you think about the catharsis of it, if I was a potter, I would have made some pottery to look for some way through this, he says. But I'm a filmmaker, so you get this giant movie. He wants people to love it. If some don't, he's all right with that. With all of it, wherever it comes, he's okay. What's my worth? What am I supposed to do? What am I about? Zach's answering Autumn's questions for himself. Wow, that's deep. So going to this line right here that I have highlighted, he reshot the ending of a superhero cameo that will blow hardcore fans' minds. I don't know if I should say it or if it's like public knowledge, but I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure that they replaced the Green Lantern in sequence that was supposed to be there with Batman with the Martian Manhunter with Harry Lennox. That's what I assumed it was. Some people were like, well, maybe it's Green Lantern or maybe it's something else we just don't know entirely. But that's what I assumed it was, because I remember him saying that he always wanted to shoot the scene with Kilowog and somebody else that was Green Lantern Corps with Ben Affleck's Batman at his condo. And that was going to be the very last scene. But I don't know. That's just what I assumed. If you guys know, let me know in the comment section below. Wow, it's still 30 of you guys here. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you guys so much for sticking with this. I don't have anything else. My voice is shot at this point. I guess all I can leave this out on is congratulations to Zack Snyder. They also announced, I do want to make sure I put emphasis on this on Netflix that May 21st, that his Army of the Dead is going to be releasing, and it's Thursday. The actual teaser trailer to that is going to be releasing. So you guys know we'll try to react to that and kind of go over it. I'm going to go into the comment sections really quick and just kind of go over some of you guys' stuff. Chris Brown, what's up, JVS? A whole lot to unpack. Hey, bruh, I've been talking for 2 hours. I can't believe I did this. My throat is gone. I hate the way they talked about the fans in the article. That's understandable. I'm thinking that unnamed exec that spoke about this was Charles Roven. If you notice in Justice League credits from the new trailer, he's the only one from the old guard listed as producer. Interesting. I can't wait to see how this film ends up. Oh So Fast. If you guys don't know, follow Oh So Fast. He's also a member of Team JVS officially as of 2 days ago. So yeah, I'll talk about that more later on. There's gonna be a big announcement with who are the members of Team JVS in general. Mythic Psychosis. What it do, man? What's up, bro? Some of the people have already trashed in Justice League even had to come out and even hadn't come out yet. Yeah, it's true. I'll talk about that in a second, Kenneth. But all you guys that are here, if you don't mind, please leave a like or make sure you're watching this on social media. Make sure you go and follow us and subscribe. There's gonna be a lot more things like this much later on. But Kenneth, bro, I have friends that are critics that are trashing this movie before it's come out. They haven't seen a lot of it. They've only seen pictures. They've only read these kind of articles like this, and they are dogging this movie out, flat out. Like I can't even. I think that the problem with that it's not fun to me. You feel me? Like it's not like something that, oh wow, this is cute, this is fun. Like it's not even on me having my feelings. It's just like it's not productive. It's kind of like if I was just consistently dogging out, Black Widow continuously. It's like, yeah, this movie's never going to be. The whole point of this Black Widow movie is just to introduce a brand new Black Widow. She's already dead. The movie's going to be trash. Like if I kept on doing that on a consistent basis, right? I don't know how they would feel about it. They'd probably be like, bro, can you stop? I don't even say stop. I just keep it going. And it is really annoying. Like, I don't know. The first scenes of Justice League, Superman and Batman ones were so whack. Yeah, I talked about that. I think that the Joker more of a promo. Yeah, possibly. Sorry, I agree with Kronos' comments. Switch guy, yo, thank you for the $10 donation, bro. Thank you so much. That really does mean a lot. Wow, that's really awesome. Thank you so much. I just read this and posted on my Facebook, sad with good and bad and ugly comments, but death and tragedy help bring us together, greater intensity of truly living with a purpose. Oh, wow, that's really awesome. Autumn, anyone who struggles. Chris Barber, thank you so much. That is real. That is so real. I can't wait to see this. Peace and blessings. Snyder cut posters. United 7 were released during the BVS promo. I knew it. I knew it was BVS. The poster was from BVS, I believe. Yep. Still waiting for the Green Lantern, to be honest. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's happening. Haters want the Snyder cut to suck so bad. Hey, look, you ain't lying. Yo, what's up, Prince Entertainment? 97 poster was featured Aquaman 2015. Yep. Keep it up, Sam. This is awesome, bruh. Yeah, my voice is shot, man. I need to go and upload my reviews. I got like 4 different movie reviews, you guys. I haven't uploaded yet. One of them is actually Cherry, but it's got a little embargo date on it. Almost every step, to be honest. Jody's Big Draws Corner. What? I don't understand. What are you talking about? What's up, Chris P? Dang, man, you still streaming? I got a hot idea I need to throw your Yo, hey, Jarrell, I'm gonna hit you back. I'm gonna call you, bro, once I get out of this. I'm about to get off in a second. To be honest, the first time hearing about this from every cinema movie critic I follow. Wow. White Angelino Saxon progressing. Oh, I get it. I was wondering what that actually meant. I had no clue. Drills, what it do, fo? Me too. I liked it. Give us an overall thought. Yo, JVS, probably a question for another day. But recently, Sasha Cale was casted as a Latina Supergirl. How the world is built on many purists aren't accepting or liking that fact. Thoughts? I'm going to say this from the deepest part of my heart. If Sasha understands, embodies, invigorates, and strengthens the lore of a fictional character for perception of look or not, whether she's a brunette, whether she's a blonde or not, she's entitled to do that, and she's entitled to have the opportunity to do that. We gave Elizabeth Nurse the same exact opportunity from Helen Slater's moment. we gave your girl Gal Gadot that opportunity in the same exact standpoint from, Linda Carter. So, in my personal opinion, I think that anybody that's having an issue with her being Latina is wrong. That's not right. Like, I mean, during the time when the announcement happened, I was happy for her, straight up. Like, Andy, shout outs to Andy for giving her that opportunity, bro. But no, that's anybody that's having an issue with her, that's wrong. That's wrong. I mean, it's not merited. You can have your opinion whether or not, they should change or flop the way the characters look. You can have that opinion, but that shouldn't be the issue. That shouldn't be a problem. Personally, I'm happy what it means for me, who's also Mexican, that can finally have actors who can relate to. I do my best to keep doing what you're doing. Oh, thank you so much, Chris P. Chris P actually is a long time subscriber, you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I am done. My voice is shot. I got some thumbnail photoshopping I got to do, and I'm going to be probably uploading 2 reviews in the next few minutes. So make sure you already hit the little bell button in the subscription section. Have it all notifications are posted up, and you guys won't miss. You don't want to miss what I'm posting up. It's actually pretty cool. It's a really dope Chinese animation. Actually, two different dope Chinese animation films that I think you guys would really enjoy. But anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't believe I did this for 2 hours. I can never give Jarrell flack for his manual reading after this. You guys take care. Keep it locked. JVS Wingo stop. Have a blessing, guys. Peace.